Hey guys, I hope everyone had a wonderful fall break. I'm glad that we're back at school. I know that you are as well. All right, so for this week, for today, your assignment is to watch this video, which of course you're doing that, and then to take our very simple quiz after it over the questions that I'm going to go over real quick. All right, so it won't be a long video, hopefully. So last week, we talked about a couple of different things. We talked about interests and skills. What's the difference in those two things? Hopefully, one day when you get your full-time jobs, your career, hopefully that you'll both have a high interest and high skills at the job that you get. We talked about applying for a job. We talked about that interview, being confident, making eye contact with the person who's having the interview, shaking that person's hand, looking them right in the eye, giving them a good firm handshake. And like I said last week, it's so important that you guys practice that a few times as you get a little older, okay? All right, so when you go for your first job interview, not even your first, but most interviews, a lot of times the interviewer, it should say, what would the interviewer ask you? Well, a lot of them will ask the same questions, even if it's eventually in a more long-term career type job. So look at the questions on page 47 of your Citizen Guide workbook. And I want you guys to pause the video for a minute and I want you to fill out the answers to those questions because these are some questions that you will probably hear in your first couple of interviews. All right, so hopefully you guys did that. Hopefully you paused the video and you answered these questions. So why would someone want to know if you like to work alone or with other people? Why would someone want to know how your friends would describe you? And, why are they interested in your volunteer work or out of school activities that you'd like to do? So anyway, I think you guys know. I think you understand why those are important questions. All right, so once you have completed an interview for the job you want, your employer will evaluate how the interview went. So you're going to leave an impression, and then your interviewer is going to sit down and judge, lack of a better term, determine how you did in those interview questions. So some of the things they'll be thinking about, you can find on page 48. They're going to think, okay, did this person greet me well? Was their greeting friendly? Did the applicant shake the interviewer's hand at the beginning of the interview and make eye contact? Did the applicant look confident? Even if you're nervous and scared to death, you don't need to let anyone know that. You need to be confident. Did he or she sit up in the chair and look the interviewer in the eye? Did the applicant explain his or her answers? Hopefully you won't ever just give yes or no answers with no explanation. Don't do that. Did the applicant appear to respond in an ethical, honest manner? Very important. Even if you don't know the answer to a question, you should be very honest and say, hey, you know what? I'm not sure of that right now, but I'm going to find out and I'm going to let you know. Did the applicant use proper language? Could you understand the applicant's answers? Did the applicant thank the interviewer? Very important. A lot of people forget about that part. Did the applicant shake the interviewer's hand and make eye contact as they left? And another thing that the video we watched last week went over, you better leave that cell phone in the car, okay? That would make a very bad impression if you went for an interview and you were looking down at your cell phone during the interview, okay? Just remember that. All right, typical interview questions will be evaluated by the person that interviews you. He or she may use a ranking system similar to this. So after you leave the interviewer's office, they're going to think, okay, so why was the person applying for this job? What skills do they have that qualify you for this job? So either they're going to give you the lowest ranking or the highest ranking. Do you have any past experiences doing something similar to this job? What you believe is your greatest strength, and what does that, or excuse me, how does that qualify you for job number 2. Describe some of the skills that are needed to be a good team member in this job. Are you able to do that? You either are going to get a low rating or a high rating. What do you believe is the most important trait of a quality business? What do you believe would be your greatest challenge in job number 3? And why do you want this job? So sometimes you're going to be, you may go into a place like Walmart and they may need a cashier, someone to put merchandise on the shelves, or someone to work in the back, taking merchandise off a truck. And so you may be, they may be thinking, okay, this person, we're interested in this person to work. We want to find the best place for them. So that's why sometimes you'll be asked about more than 1 or even 2 jobs sometimes in the same company. All right, so let's take a look at Tyra's resume. So last week we also talked about writing a resume. So let's look at her resume. Here she has her address, her phone number, her objective. Very important to have an objective. You want to tell the person on that first line, what am I applying for? What do I want? This person wants to obtain a teller position in the local Junior Achievement BizTown Bank. All right, she lists out her education and classes she likes: English, science, math, classes I hate, art. Work experience: washing dogs, mowing lawns, helping clean. Accomplishments: what have I done in the past? I got first place in my track race at school, second place in math bowl at school. My activities I enjoy are, that should say biking, math club, and I volunteer for lots of stuff. And then they're always going to want to ask someone in a professional position that knows you. So when you put references available upon request, that's a good thing to put on there. That means that you have several different people available and standing by in order for the company to call them and ask questions about you, which is a good thing. You can always put that on a resume. All right, so let's look at what she wrote here. What are 2 things that the employer might consider positive on her resume? And what are 2 things the employee might consider negative on Tyra's resume? Well, she did put her address and phone number. She did list an objective. That was good, right? She did list some accomplishments. That's good. Now, the things that kind of stick out to me, though, are maybe some negative things. Classes I hate. If you hate a class, you definitely don't want to put that on a resume. Even if you have that opinion, a resume is no place for that. And also, she did misspell the word biking. I'm not sure if I read it. Oh, she misspelled the word science, right? And service volunteer for lots of stuff. That's not a very impressive line. She needs to either leave that out completely or she needs to be much more specific. All right, so now this one on the right, Biz E Beavers resume. This one looks much better. Okay, she's got her address or his or her, I don't know, phone number, position sought, loan officer at the bank. Abilities and talent, she only listed positive things: sharp computer skills, good communication skills, strong leadership qualities. Math is a specialty. That's pretty important because math is like the best subject ever. All right, so I'm not going to read all that to you, but the resume on the right is it's a lot more impressive resume than the one on the left. Okay, so just keep that in mind as you guys in the next few years consider applying for some jobs. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching my video. And now you will need to answer the questions on today's little quiz. All right, you guys, I will check in with you later.